As we all know, YNW Melly is accused of staging a drive-by and shooting and killing his two best friends. This happened back in 2018 and he was arrested in February of 2019. Therefore, he's been locked up for over 1,500 days. It's been delayed multiple times from motions on both sides of the defense and the prosecution, mainly over whether or not the death penalty will be on the table. And now I believe it's still on the table. Over the years, we've seen the police's version of events. They talk about phone records that allegedly confirm that Melly was at the crime scene, because originally Melly said he wasn't even there. And then they also talk about the DNA and ballistics of the bullets that were shot. The police argue that the drive-by bullets on the outside of the car were staged in an effort to misdirect law enforcement investigation. So they say that Melly got out of the car and shot the car after killing his two best friends to make it look like a drive-by happened. But for the past 1,500 days, we've never really heard the defense's version of events. Melly's manager talked about it a little bit in interviews, but he didn't really go into detail.
Forensic reports?
Right.
We're hearing about ballistics.
Right.
We're hearing about GPS.
Right.
How do you argue against things that are pretty much scientific?
Because it's perspective. You got to convince these juries. And, bro, be real, bro. Like, y'all know Melly didn't kill his two best friends. Like, come on.
And boys, we finally have a date. June 5th will be the date of the trial. Today, the jury selection began, where they summon and question and select jurors based on if they are fit to do the job or not, and they only end up picking 12 who would decide the fate of YNW Melly. I have a few key points on both sides on the screen right here, prosecution and defense. The prosecution is going to have to prove that these ballistics are accurate and there's no bullshit and this is really what happened, and I believe what the ballistics said was that the gun was fired within like a foot or two of the victim's head. So how could that be a drive-by shooting if it's like a point-blank gunshot? Like the stippling, I believe it was called, on the skin of the victims indicates that they were shot execution style. So that's what these ballistics prove, and angles of the bullet. They also say that the bullets were shot from left to right, not right to left like Melly and Bortland say happened, because they say they got shot from the right side of the car when that's not what the ballistics say. They show that they were shot from the left to the right. The next thing is the phone location, because their phone got pinged around, driving around with these dead bodies in the car, I believe for like an hour or two. And their version of events were completely different on where the shooting happened and where their phone was. That's like, oh shit, like something's fishy here. Why is your phone being pinged all over around on these fucking servers and shit? But you say you got a drive-by shooting happen and you went to the hospital. Like some fishy shit going on. There's no evidence of a drive-by. They don't have any description of a car. They don't have any suspects of a drive-by. If there is anyone else who did it, who was it then? Because there's zero evidence. They don't have anything. There's no eyewitnesses of a drive-by. There's nothing. The next thing, self-snitching. There's a bunch of shit of Melly kind of self-snitching on himself, boys. And I know it could be circumstantial, but they're definitely going to point this out. His phone was confiscated from his manager, Jameson Francis. I don't know how to pronounce that. After investigating his cell phone, they ended up finding a video of Melly admitting to doing the act towards Sack Chaser and Juvie. Melly not only admits to the murders, but also fails to show any remorse. He was quoted saying, "There's no regret for that shit that I did for that N-word to die." He allegedly says on tape. I've never heard about this. I don't even know if this is true, but I just saw this in an article. Why would he be saying that on a video? That's some self-snitching shit. This court document says this video was on Mr. Demon's cell phone, which was brought to my office, and that's how we had that. Law enforcement can do something called a data extract, which means that they can bring back deleted text messages and photos. Prosecutors will have all this new evidence on Melly's phone. One of Melly's text messages that he sent out, "I keep Bortland with me because at the end of the day, he did one of the realest stuff in my life." I remember that quote. People are like, what did Bortland do that was so real? That's what they're going to be like. Why was Melly texting this? They're going to be saying that type of shit in court. Show the jury that he was saying some suspect shit on his phone. And I believe he also said, "I did that shush" at some point or something on Snapchat. The next thing, DNA. Now, I believe they did ask to swab Melly's mouth and take pictures of him, and they did get that. So that could be a big thing here, because I remember there was a yellow jacket in the car where the victims got shot, and there was a total of 4 pieces of DNA on it, and they wanted to prove that Melly's DNA was on that jacket. I'm not sure if they did or not yet, but we're going to see. That's a big point, but that's going to be another big thing is DNA, if they found any DNA in the car or anything. And then the next thing is motive, which there are a bunch of rumors about the motive of why Melly would want to do this. It's some money shit. I find hard to believe that money would be a motive in this situation, because apparently there was like a couple $100,000 owed to Sack Chaser because of a record deal or something, but I don't know if that's confirmed or true. But I find it hard to believe that Melly was killing his two best friends over a record deal, because I feel like they grew up together. Like they were a really close friends. Why would he kill his two best friends over that? Like I find that hard to believe over money. I really do. I know some other people might think I'm an idiot for saying that, but I just find that hard to believe. And the other thing, there's a video of Melly's mom like talking shit to Sack Chaser because there was some beef, but I remember I thought that beef got solved and that was like an old beef. That could be another motive that they might try to push, but who knows. Now let's go to the side of the defense over here, boys. This is gonna be hard to defend, in my opinion. Like, this is gonna be really hard, but we've never heard the defense. Like, we really have never heard anything from Melly's lawyers, if you think about it. Have we heard shit? Like, not really. Zero. So we don't know what their plan is, but I have a few bullet points here. Make the ballistics look unreliable somehow. So they're going to put that guy on the stand, whoever the guy that did the ballistics, and try to ask him questions to make him look stupid or make his work look really dumb or just unreliable, and make the jury believe that this ballistic shit could be bullshit. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know how they're going to do that, but that's what they should do, in my opinion. That's really the only route they can do to defend the ballistics, because the point blank execution style stifling of the skin is a big red flag. I mean, how can you combat that? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but that's what they have to do for sure, because that's a big point. And then the next thing is the phone location. This is kind of the same thing that happened in the X trial that I covered a month ago, was the phones were the big thing here, that their phones were tracked to the location of X's murder and up to the houses together and everything. And if their phones are tracked, just going in circles and not following their initial statements and it's all over the place, and Melly's phone being tracked there when he lied about being there in the first place, it's going to look very suspicious to the jury. So the defense is going to have to make those phone servers tracking them look fucking stupid, right? Like, that's... I just spilled something on my desk, dude. They're gonna have to make those look fucking stupid somehow. And I know the defense tried to do that in the X trial, but it didn't look very good. They just didn't do that good of a job. So this lawyer has his work cut out from him with the ballistics and the phone records. And the next thing they could brag about is no murder weapon, because I don't believe that a murder weapon was ever found. So they could be like, dude, you're trying to charge this guy with killing his two best friends, and you don't even have a murder weapon linking him to this murder. You don't have his fingerprints on a weapon. You don't have any type of murder weapon, dude. That's a big component in the conviction. The jury's gonna be like, wow, that's true. There's no murder weapon. Am I 100% sure this guy did this when they never found the gun? And the next thing was explain the DNA. So the DNA being in the car, this Trackhawk that this happened in, I believe, Melly had that car for like 6 months or something apparently. So they could be like, yo, he rented this car or owned this car for like 6 months. Of course his DNA is going to be in this car. You can't convict this guy based on... You can't convict a person for DNA being in their own car. Anyone watching this video, if you own a car, of course your DNA is going to be in the car. If they found DNA in a specific part of the car, like where, you know, like where they think Melly was sitting, or, you know, any type of in the back seat or mixed with the blood or something, that could be sketchy. Because it's like, yo, why is your DNA mixed in with blood or on this jacket? Melly's lawyer has his work cut out for him, dude. And try to shit on the motive too. I forgot to put that there. I'm looking at it now. Try to explain the friendship that they had, but that really doesn't mean shit, I guess. I'm probably missing a few points on each side, but yeah, that's the gist of this trial. So gonna be happening on June 5th. I'll be covering that in 2 months. Hopefully there's that live stream thing we can watch. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. Love you, boys. Peace out.